The crash of a helicopter in the East River. Today, the National Transportation Safety Board launches its own investigation into the deadly crash, but it could take months to determine why that chopper crashed shortly after taking off. One woman was killed. Her mother, stepfather, and partner remain hospitalized this morning. Eyewitness News has live team coverage of the crash. John Del Giorno is in Newscopter 7. Marcy Gonzalez is at Bellevue Hospital. We begin, though, with Jamie Roth in the investigation. She's live on the east side. Jamie.
Good morning, Ken. Good morning, everyone. And the mayor has said the city will initiate its own full-scale investigation. In addition, the NTSB is here, a full team on the ground, ready to begin their investigation today. The battered Bell 206 Jet Ranger was pulled from the East River as nightfall set in. A full team from the NTSB watched over the wreckage and the move to Floyd Bennett Field in Brooklyn.
We'll be looking at the human, the machine, the environment. Again, we talked about the pilot. The machine, we're going to be looking at the engines, how it was equipped.
The helicopter was airborne for just seconds when the pilot turned to his passengers and yelled, "We're going down." The single engine was stalling and the chopper began to spin. Witnesses say 2, 3, 4 times.
As soon as it lifted off, everything was normal, and then all of a sudden, it started spinning around.
The Jet Ranger hit the river with its nose pointing back towards the landing pad, just beyond reach. Then it capsized, starting to sink in 40 feet of water.
We hit straight down on the skids. Right. And then it looked like it was floating upside down in the water. There's like a person, I remember a person holding it.
Divers, counterterrorism units, EMTs all worked to pull the pilot from the water along with 3 of his 4 passengers. They were rushed to nearby hospitals, but there was no reaching one woman caught in the back seat of the sunken chopper. Her body was recovered about 90 minutes after the crash.
One of the comforting things was the way the police department, fire department, and Office of Emergency Management came together, worked together, and did whatever was humanly possible to reduce the loss of life.
And now is the time for more questions and more fact-finding, and the NTSB launches its investigation starting today. Now, we're joined by Deputy OEM Commissioner Frank McCartan. Frank just happened to be in the area when you got the call and rushed to the water's edge here. You actually helped rescue one of the passengers. Tell me a little bit about it.
Jane, we arrived, myself and my aide. Upon arrival, we found the helicopter on its belly. With 2 men actually on the skids. We were able to throw a life. Our training kind of jumped right in, and we threw some flotation devices that were up there with some help with my aide, and we were able to pull one of the passengers up with the help of NYPD highway officer, and we were able to get some critical information from him about how many people are on board, because that was really the most important thing. As the divers started to arrive, that we were able to tell that information. I was able to give the dispatcher, the police dispatchers, that information, because we have those radios in our vehicles and our rigs.
How are you feeling at the time? Like you said, your training kicked in, but it must have been an incredible amount of anxiety and urgency here.
Well, it's just you and the people, and that's all that was here. And Wes, who was my aide, both of us together did the best we can with the police officer and that was there, and we were able to get that critical information out. And I think we need to realize that there was a loss of life here yesterday, and our thoughts and prayers go out for that person and that family. We did our best to try to get that person out and those people out as quickly as possible. And all the agencies worked very hard together as a joint effort in an incident command system that we have here in the city when we try to do that.
Well, lucky you were in the area, and thank you for all you did yesterday, and thank you for speaking with us again.
Thank you.
So once again, the NTSB on the ground, they'll begin their investigation today as we mourn the loss of life. We also now begin to search for answers. That investigation expected to take several months. Reporting live from the east side, Jamie Roth, Channel 7 Eyewitness News.
Thank you, Jamie. The victims included a family from overseas. They were in New York City celebrating a birthday with a helicopter tour, and the pilot was a family friend. Eyewitness News reporter Marcy Gonzalez is live this morning at Bellevue Hospital. Marcy?
Sandra, it was that birthday girl who lost her life in this crash. Her mother and her partner remain in critical but stable condition here at Bellevue. Her stepfather was treated and released, all mourning the loss of the woman they were here to celebrate. The 4 passengers were friends with the pilot, Paul Dudley, who was planning to take them on a sightseeing tour when the chopper crashed moments after takeoff. Dudley and 3 passengers made it to the surface of the water. but police divers found the body of Sonia Mara 90 minutes later in the back seat of the submerged chopper. The group was in town to celebrate her 40th birthday. The surviving passengers are Mara's mother, 60-year-old Harriet Nicholson, her stepfather, 71-year-old Paul Nicholson, and her partner, 43-year-old Helen Tamaki. The Nicholsons are British, but they live in Portugal. Helen Tamaki is from New Zealand and lives in Sydney, Australia with Mara. The chopper pilot, 56-year-old Paul Dudley, flies out of Linden, New Jersey's airport, where he also manages the facility. Newscopter 7 pilot Captain Randy MP saw him 5 minutes before he took off.
He was excited. He was going to go pick up his friends from the city, give them a little tour.
But Dudley, an experienced pilot, has been in the news before. In 2006, he made an emergency landing in his Cessna in a park near Coney Island.
And you're trained to look for places to land. That's all there is to it.
Yesterday, he escaped injury, helping his 3 surviving passengers stay afloat until help arrived. And Mara previously owned several restaurants in Australia. She most recently worked at a fruit stand. She is being remembered as a sweet, outgoing, and overall amazing woman who was so excited about her trip to New York. We're live at Bellevue Hospital. Marcy Gonzalez, Channel 7 Eyewitness News.
Marcy, thank you. And the crash is raising new concerns about the safety of air traffic over the city. This was the 7th helicopter crash in the Hudson or East Rivers since 1995. Our coverage continues with John Del Giorno live in Newscopter 7. John?
Well, helicopters always a hot button issue, both for local politicians and safety groups or community groups. Both noise and safety a concern for those groups, and there'll certainly be a lot of discussion in the days ahead. These are live pictures from Newscopter 7. We're down at Floyd Bennett Field, and that is the helicopter that was involved in yesterday's accident. Trucked down here last night to proceed with the NTSB investigation. That's a Bell 206B. It's called a Jet Ranger in the trade, and that is one of the safest single-engine aircraft worldwide, and that's according to safety records. Now, it's important to note that of those 7 accidents, they all took place in the river, as you guys mentioned, and that's because the river is the desired emergency landing area. There's not many places in the 5 boroughs to put a helicopter other than in the water. We're going to take you outside. This is Newscopter 7. Much has been spoken of in the last few days about emergency floats. If you look at the skids here on Newscopter 7, those gray pouches that you see, those contain emergency floats. They're charged with that round bottle that you see on the bottom. Those will inflate to 3-foot pontoons in under 4 seconds. They are optional equipment in the New York City area. The helicopter involved in yesterday's accident was not equipped with these devices. And we're live over Floyd Bennett Field. John Del Giorno, Channel 7 Eyewitness News.
John, thank you very much. Eyewitnesses are giving us an idea of what happened leading up to the crash yesterday. The chopper lifted off about 20 feet, but immediately, as you see here, began spinning out of control. Then, with its nose facing the FDR Drive, the chopper went in reverse over the East River. It hit the water and flipped over. All of this happened just yards from the heliport and very, very quickly. Congresswoman Carolyn Maloney says there have been at least 28 helicopter crashes in the city over the last 3 decades. She believes this latest crash should show the FAA that it needs to seriously consider whether it makes sense to permit non-essential helicopter flights originating in Manhattan.